Navaratri. The search for Sita. Once the teams of searchers had been dispatched, Sugriva returned to his life of leisure, and Rama to waiting. A month passed, and the searchers from the east, north, and west returned empty-handed. We have explored the mountains, forests, rivers, and seas. We have ransacked caves and dense thickets. And we have encountered and killed large demons, suspecting them to be Ravana. But we have no sign of Sita. Our only hope now lies with Hanuman. Hanuman's party, however, was not to be seen. They had gone south, the direction in which it was known Sita had been carried, over the Vindhya mountains to the desert beyond, which was without water or food. With their strength and hope fading, they crisscrossed the region again and again, finding no trace of Sita. When their month was nearly up, exhausted from hunger and thirst, they came to the mouth of a deep cave on the southern tip of the Indian peninsula. From inside the cave came a flow of cool, moist air, and around its mouth grew dense foliage. Herons and swans emerged from the cave, their plumes wet and stained with the red pollen of lotuses. They decided to venture inside the cave in search of water. Holding hands, they penetrated the darkness. For a long time, all was dark as they journeyed ever deeper. Then they saw light ahead and heard the tinkling of running water. They emerged into a cavern illuminated by a clear, soft light, where they found trees of gold, mansions of silver and gold, luscious fruits, and heaps of gems. Gratefully, they satisfied their hunger and thirst and restored their strength and spirits. Then they looked about them and saw the figure of a woman, dressed in deerskin and bark, shining with an aura of saintliness. Hanuman asked her who she was and to whom the cave belonged. This cave was the home of the demon Maya, who embellished it by his mystic art, but was slain by Indra. I am Swayamprabha, sent here to be its guardian. Hanuman told her of their search for Sita. Goddess, our strength is now restored by your generosity. How can we repay you? I want nothing from you, but tell me how I can help you, she replied. Show us out of this place. We must return to our king Sugriva by the appointed time. She instructed them to close their eyes, and in an instant they were once more in the bright sunlight outside the cave. As their eyes grew accustomed to the daylight, they saw that the season of spring was already far advanced, the trees being heavy with blossom. Fear gripped them as they realized that their allotted month was past. If they returned now, without any news of Sita, Sugriva would kill them. In despair, they decided to fast to death. Weeping, they sat down and prepared to die. However, a more immediate danger faced the monkeys. From far above, unseen eyes saw them as a tasty meal sent by Providence. Sampati, king of the vultures, an older brother of Jatayu, was perched on the mountainside above the monkeys. He had not eaten for a long time because he was crippled by the loss of his wings. I shall eat each of these monkeys one by one as they die of starvation, he said. The monkeys heard this and looked up to see the huge vulture. Jatayu, lord of vultures, gave his life for Rama, protested Angada. Must we, who have sacrificed so much in the service of Rama, be eaten by this vulture? Sampati was bewildered to hear mention of his brother Jatayu and the name of Rama, who he knew to be the glorious son of Emperor Dasharatha. Who is it that speaks of Jatayu, my brother, and of Rama, son of Dasharatha? Help me down from my perch so that I may speak with you. The monkeys, who were past caring, thought they might as well die as food for this venerable vulture as by starvation. So they helped him down. They told Sampati the full story of Sita's abduction, Jatayu's death, and the monkey's failure to find Sita, and their consequent state of despair. Sampati was distressed to hear of the death of his younger brother Jatayu, and eager to help in the search for Sita. I will not eat you, he said. Instead, I can help you find Sita. I once saw from this mountain a beautiful young woman carried through the air by Ravana, calling the name Rama, Lakshmana. This was surely Sita, explained Hanuman. Where did Ravana take her? Ravana lives in the city of Lanka, on an island 1,000 miles out to sea. Sita is held captive there by Ravana. On hearing Sampati's information, the monkeys leapt to their feet. All thoughts of starvation vanished from their minds. Excitedly, they took leave of Sampati and made their way to the nearby shore of the Indian Ocean. Looking across the southern sea, they saw only the vast expanse of water, and their hearts began to sink. How could they cross such a great distance as 1,000 miles? Each of them estimated his ability in leaping. Some said they could leap 100 miles, some 2, some 500, but none felt confident enough to cross Lanka and back. Jambavan turned to Hanuman, who had kept silent. You are the son of the wind god, and are equal to him in your power to fly through the air. When you were a child, you saw the sun rising through the trees and mistook it for a fruit. You leapt into the sky to catch it, rising to a height of 20,000 miles. In anger at your audacity, Indra hurled his thunderbolt at you and dashed you to the ground, breaking your jaw. Therefore you are called Hanuman, meaning one with a broken jaw. To make up for this, Indra blessed you to meet death only when you choose to die, and Brahma made you invulnerable in combat. Now show us your prowess by leaping across the vast ocean to Lanka. While Jambavan spoke, Hanuman shook off his depression and grew to a colossal size. Whirling his tail in delight, he prepared to leap across the ocean. I can overtake the sun on its journey from east to west, or jump to the very ends of the earth, scattering clouds and shaking mountains. Certainly I will jump to Lanka. Looking for a secure foothold from which to leap, giant Hanuman climbed the nearby Mount Mahendra. As he trod on it, the mountain trembled, releasing new springs and alarming deer and elephants, driving snakes from their holes. Concentrating his mind, Hanuman fixed his thoughts on Lanka and the divine Sita, and prepared to jump. The kingdom of Lanka, across the ocean. Hanuman crouched low on the slopes of Mount Mahendra, stretching out his tail and fixing his eyes on the horizon. He had remembered his father, the wind god, and prayed for his protection. Then he vowed, either I shall find Sita or destroy Lanka, and leaped into the sky. As he launched himself, the mountain shook, sending forth showers of fragrant flowers. Thousands of trees were uprooted and swept into the sky, falling like a carpet of stars into the sea. He flew through the air with his tail out behind him, shining like the sun as he passed in and out of clouds. His eyes blazed and the wind thundered past his ears, while far below the sea tossed in his wake, churning up waves as high as mountains. Wishing to help Hanuman, the sea god sent the winged mountain Mainaka up from the seabed to give him a resting place. But as the mountain, with its gold-tipped peaks, rose before him, Hanuman simply thrust it aside with his chest. The gods were thrilled at his prowess and wanted to see more of his splendor. So they sent Surasa, the mother of the Naga celestial snakes, to test him. She assumed a gigantic form and rose from the ocean in front of Hanuman, with her mouth outstretched to devour him. But Hanuman expanded his size, forcing her to open her mouth wider, then strength to the size of a thumb to enter and leave her mouth in an instant, and continued on his way. Next came the sea demoness Simhika, who had not eaten for years. When she saw Hanuman flying above the sea, she used her magic powers to seize his shadow. Hanuman felt himself held back by some unseen influence and looked down, seeing Simhika in the sea. He swept down towards her, and she tried to swallow him, but he again shrank to nothing and flew into her mouth. Penetrating deep inside her, he burst out through her heart and killed her instantly. As he neared the island of Lanka, Hanuman saw forests and mountains stretched out below him, and in the distance Mount Trikuta, beside which stood the fabulous city of Lanka, looking like the capital of heaven. He returned to his normal size and touched down safely on the peak of Mount Trikuta. Not even short of breath, he set off through the lush jungle towards the city. Soon, he arrived at the edge of the outer moat, beneath towering walls and turrets of gold with pennants fluttering in the breeze. He made his way to the northern gate, where he saw large numbers of guards and much coming and going. He lay hidden among the trees until darkness fell. When all was dark, he shrank to the size of a cat and sprang over the battlements. By the light of the full moon, he followed the main highway into the city. Around him were mansions of gold inlaid with diamonds and pearls. Deep rumblings, like the distant roar of the ocean, came from the depths of the city, and here and there bells tinkled. Suddenly he was challenged by a hideous female figure. "Who are you, and what do you want?" she demanded. "First tell me who you are," Hanuman replied. "My name is Lanka, the guardian spirit of this city, and I am aware of all that goes on here. No one can wander about the city without my sanction." "It is my wish to see around Lanka, and I shall do as I please," retorted Hanuman. "Not without overcoming me," she cried, and struck Hanuman on the face. In retaliation, he felled her to the ground with a slap. "Spare me," she begged. "I was once told by Brahma that when a monkey enters Lanka and overpowers me, the defeat of all the Rakshasas who live here will soon follow. I give you permission to go wherever you please, and assure you that you will accomplish your purpose, and in so doing, bring about the destruction of Ravana." Hanuman continued on his way. Soon he heard laughter and music and saw on the streets people of all kinds. Some were ugly, others beautiful, some coarse, others refined. He saw scholars and priests, powerful warriors and fools. Naked ascetics with shaven heads muttered malevolent spells and eyed him curiously as he passed, while monstrous demons with deformed features and misshapen bodies guarded doorways along the way, armed with swords, clubs, and spears. After passing many mansions and crossing wide avenues, Hanuman came to the outer gates of Ravana's palace, made of solid gold embellished with precious gems. Inside was a city within a city, filled with mansions of gold and silver, teeming with demons strutting here and there, challenging each other in proud tones, singing boisterously or lying in drunken stupor. He also saw noble beings, handsome and graceful, dressed in finery and shining brightly. Entering the inner palace, Hanuman passed armed guards mounted on chariots and throngs of courtiers in avenues vibrant with the sound of kettle drums and trumpets. He came upon Rakshasa women, some bashful, some alluring, all exceptionally beautiful. He looked at them all closely, hoping to find Sita, but saw her nowhere. He ranged among the houses of Ravana's generals and ministers, and his brothers Kumbhakarna and Vibhishana. He passed Ravana's stables, which housed mighty war elephants, and horses of many colors. And then he entered gardens and pleasure grounds resounding with the cries of peacocks and sparkling with heaps of gems. Finally, he reached Ravana's personal residence, blazing with jewels. It was a palace of such splendor, it seemed as if heaven had come down to earth. In its inner courtyard was moored the fabulous Pushpaka airplane, like a mountain, with domes clustered one above another. This was the airplane that Ravana had stolen from Kuvera, the treasurer of the gods, and was his proudest possession. It was built from gold, silver, coral, and crystal, yet it hovered weightless above the ground. Hanuman slipped aboard, up stairways of gems, through pillared halls laid with crystal, and lit by emeralds and sapphires. Fountains played in lotus pools, surrounded by groves of artificial trees and flowers. The Pushpaka was capable of traveling at the speed of mind along cosmic pathways. It was imbued with a mind of its own, which responded to the thoughts of its commander, who must have exceptional power in order to control it. Hanuman scoured all the chambers and hallways on its many levels, but did not find Sita. From there he stole into Ravana's private apartments, where he saw bevies of gorgeous women, deep in slumber, exhausted from their revelries, their limbs and coverings in disarray, with their heads pillowed on one another's breasts and arms, their garlands and necklaces scattered, and their breath perfumed by fragrant wines. They looked like swans floating on a sea of lotus flowers. Lamps burned dimly, held by sentinels of gold, who watched silently over the fair assembly. In the midst of this scene was a raised bedstead of ivory and gold, beneath a white canopy where Ravana slept, fanned by female attendants. His powerful arms, encircled with gold bracelets and flashing with diamonds, revealed the scars of many battles. Around his bed slept female musicians, still holding their musical instruments in sensuous embrace. On a rich, upholstered bed nearby lay a fair-complexioned woman more gorgeous than the others. At first, Hanuman thought her to be Sita, but then he realized this could not be so. Sita would never surrender herself to be enjoyed by Ravana. This woman must be Ravana's queen, Mandodari, who had been given to him as a young girl by her father, the demon Maya. Since then, Ravana had carried off thousands of other young girls from the homes of gods and celestial beings, all of who were allured by his power and sexual energy. Sita, however, was the one woman who would never submit to his will. Continuing his search, Hanuman entered the dining hall, where meat such as peacock, rhinoceros, and porcupine stood untouched and half-consumed on golden dishes. The floor was scattered with broken cups and bowls amid piles of disordered cushions, pools of juice, and half-finished cups of wine. Leaving the palaces, Hanuman scoured the open spaces surrounding them. He looked among the crowds at crossroads, in narrow lanes, in chasms and ravines, but not seeing Sita anywhere, he began to fear the worst. Perhaps she had fallen into the sea as she was carried to Lanka, or been set upon by the demon women in Ravana's employ, or had died from a broken heart and separation from her lord. In despondency, Hanuman decided to hide somewhere and fast to death, his mission having failed. Just then, he came across a grove of ancient ashok trees that he had not noticed before, hidden beneath a wooded hilltop beside Ravana's palace. This was Ravana's private retreat, and something told Hanuman it might be the place where he would find Sita. He prayed to Vishnu, and giving him success, and leaped over the boundary wall. Inside, the trees were thick with flowers and entwined with climbers. As the monkey jumped from one tree to another, they scattered their blossoms, covering him with petals. so that he looked like the spirit of spring. Advancing deeper into the grove, he found that the trees took on a silver hue, and their flowers became richer and more perfumed. Water tumbled down the hillside into a clear pool with a white sandy bed, sparkling with gems and corals. Around the pool, marble steps descended from among trees of gold that chimed as if with tiny bells in the breeze. Hanuman climbed the tallest tree and peered out from its branches across the moonlit landscape. Nearby was a tree greater and more venerable than all the others. Beneath it he saw a woman seated on the ground, dressed in torn, unwashed clothes. She was pale and drawn, and her face was bathed in tears, but her beauty shone like the moon through a veil of clouds. Hanuman knew her to be the same woman he had seen carried over Rishyamukha hill by Ravana, and he recognized the ornaments she wore as matching the ones cast down from the sky to the monkeys that day, and her yellow robe as matching the silk cloth in which they had been wrapped. She must be Sita. Around her, demonesses circled restlessly, hideous in appearance, carrying clubs or spikes. Some had only one eye and misshapen features. Some were covered in hair. Some were humpbacked or monstrous in size, with heads of goats, camel's feet, or donkey's ears. In the midst of these monsters, Sita was weighed down by grief, like a boat sinking beneath its load. How can such a blameless and exalted soul as Sita be afflicted with so much sorrow? Lamented Hanuman. Indeed, it is hard to understand destiny. Yet I see she is forbearing as the earth from whom she was born. She does not see the monsters surrounding her, or this heavenly garden. She sees only Brahma. The ring. As dawn approached, Hanuman heard the distant sound of the sacred hymns of the Vedas being chanted in the city. At Ravana's bedside, musicians serenaded him, and slowly the great demon stirred, his head heavy with drink. His first thought was of Sita. Although he was powerful beyond measure, Ravana was the slave of passion, and at the moment all his passion was focused on Sita. Dressing and perfuming himself, he set off to the Ashok grove, followed by a procession of female attendants bearing torches in the early dawn light. As it passed through the glade, echoing with birdsong, the procession looked like the progress of the god of love. Hidden among the branches, Hanuman watched as Ravana approached. As soon as she saw him, Sita huddled up in modesty and shook with fear. Although she was distressed and forlorn, she could not hide her flawless beauty, which shone like the moon through the clouds. Hanuman was amazed to see the mighty Ravana actually prostrate himself full length on the ground before her. Have no fear, sweet lady. No other demons lurk here. It is only I, begging for your love. Came Ravana's love-stricken words. My soul is ravished by you. Please return my love. It is the habit of us demons to seduce other wives by force, but I have restrained from this for 10 months, waiting for you to willingly give yourself to me. Your beauty holds me entranced. The Creator, after fashioning you, must have retired, having surpassed all else. Though you are covered in torn cloth with your hair in a single plait, you make me forget even my consort Mandodari. My thousands of other wives will wait upon you. Why do you think only of Rama, a mere man? He is nothing compared to me. Untold wealth can be yours. Just be mine. Take your mind off me and be dissatisfied with your many wives, Sita responded fiercely. You should protect me, not seek to molest me. Your infatuation will destroy your kingdom and all who live in it. I belong to Rama, as the sunshine belongs to the sun. You will never have me. Soon Rama will be here with arrows of fire to destroy you. You cannot flee. He will find you wherever you are. It seems, good lady, that the more I speak sweet words to you, the more unkind you become. Very well. Be warned. You have 2 months to surrender to me. If you refuse to share my bed after that time, you will be minced up and I will eat you for my breakfast. These foul words upset many of Ravana's women, whom he had won from among gods or pious families. They tried to reassure Sita with secret glances, but she continued fearlessly. You have no friends here, otherwise they would advise you that you bring upon yourself your own destruction by stealing another's wife, not to speak of the wife of Rama. I wonder what that your tongue has not fallen out or your eyes been blinded. I am here for your destruction. Touch me at your peril. Ravana's face twisted, and he raised his hand to strike Sita, but was restrained by his women, who dragged him away. Sport with us, Lord, and have nothing more to do with this Sita, they implored. Do with her as you will, to force her to her senses, he shouted at those around Sita. Angry and humiliated, he left. Now the demonesses came forward, first cajoling, then taunting, threatening Sita with their weapons. Don't you know what you are turning down? You have been loyal to your husband. Now do the sensible thing. Ravana has vanquished the entire universe. The 33 high gods and even Indra himself are under his sway. And now he wishes to give up his wife Mandodari in favor of you. You are mad to refuse. I would like to taste her liver, snarled one, and her heart too. Why should we wait, cried another. Divide her up now and cook her. I will never be his wife, Sita retorted. I am human and he is Rakshasa. I will never have anything to do with the monster. You can eat me if you like. I don't care. Shuddering with emotion, she withdrew towards the tree in which Hanuman was concealed. I would not touch that despicable Ravana, even with my left foot. Why can't I not die now? Then I would be shamed no more. If Rama would come, he would kill Ravana and destroy this entire city. Then it will be you who weep. Your husband's dead. He will destroy you all. An old Rakshasa woman named Trijata awoke just then. Seeing that the other Rakshasas were tormenting Sita, she stopped them. Eat one another if you like, but you will never eat her. I have had a dream, she murmured. I saw Rama, dressed in shining white, riding with Sita on a great white elephant. Then I saw Ravana and his brothers, their heads shaven, riding south on mules, laughing hideously. Next, I saw a powerful monkey set fire to the city of Lanka, which fell crashing into the waves, while the women of the city laughed in madness. My advice to you is to stay away from her and leave this place if you can. Her companions fell silent and sat down listlessly, not caring enough to argue. Sita crept further into the hollow of the tree beneath Hanuman. Fingering the cord tying her hair, she thought of suicide. Hanuman desperately wanted to reassure Sita, but how could he do so without frightening her? She would think he was just another of Ravana's tricks. He decided to talk in Sanskrit, the human language spoken in Ayodhya. Softly he spoke of Rama. There was once a mighty emperor in the line of Ikshvaku called Dasharatha, who had a son named Rama. He began and went on to recite the tale of Rama's exploits up to the time that Sita was carried away. In search of Sita, Rama and Lakshmana journeyed south where they met with Sugriva, lord of the monkeys, in alliance with him. A great search for Sita was begun, bringing me to Lanka, where I have at last found her. Even now, Rama is waiting for me to bring back news so that he can rescue her. In rapture, Sita listened to this mysterious voice, thinking at first it was just a dream. She looked here and there until she caught sight of Hanuman in the tree above her. Was this an apparition? How could a monkey talk and know all these details of her history? I hope this monkey's words are true, she whispered to herself. Encouraged, Hanuman slipped from the tree, staying hidden from the Rakshasas. Gentle lady with lotus eyes, who are you and why do you cry? Are you truly Sita, the wife of Rama, or a goddess fallen from heaven? I am Sita, daughter of Janaka. I lived in Ayodhya with my husband Rama for 12 years before following him to the forest in exile. There we lived in peace, served by his brother Lakshmana, until the evil Ravana, who now torments me, carried me away. If my husband does not come to my rescue, I have 2 months to live. Dear lady, Rama wishes you to know that he and Lakshmana are both well. He also wants to know of your welfare. Hanuman came nearer to Sita, but she retreated in fear. If you are Ravana, come to give me more pain. Then stop. It is not right that you torture me so, she trembled. But if you are who you say you are, and I pray it be so, then please tell me more about my dear Rama. The glorious Rama brings happiness to the whole universe, spoke Hanuman. He gives protection to all and punishes the wicked. Before long he will come here with a great army of monkeys to rescue you and kill Ravana. How did you meet with Rama? And how on earth did an alliance between humans and monkeys come about? Sita demanded to know. Prove to me that you know Rama by describing him. Hanuman described in detail the appearance of Rama. He went on to explain how Rama had made friends with Sugriva and helped him defeat his brother Vali, and how Sugriva had gathered the monkey forces to help Rama find Sita, concluding with the story of his own search, his meeting with Sampati, and his decision to leap over the sea to Lanka. I am Hanuman, son of the wind god and minister of Sugriva. Doubt me no more. Reassured by all she heard, Sita trembled with grief. Tears of happiness fell from her long eyelashes, and her face shone like the moon. Hanuman then produced Rama's ring and handed it to Sita, who recognized it as the one worn by her husband. Gazing on as if it were Rama himself, she thanked Hanuman. You are a brave and powerful monkey, to come all this way for me, crossing the ocean so wide and taking such risks. I owe you a debt of gratitude. But tell me, why has Rama not come to rescue me? Why has he given up? Has he given up hope or stopped loving me? He does not know where you are. As soon as I get back, he will lead a powerful army to rescue you. Rama thinks only of you. He lies awake at night with tears in his eyes, and in his sleep he calls your name. Sita was both glad and pained to hear of Rama's grief. She begged Hanuman to act fast, for she could not survive much longer. Let me rescue you this moment, exclaimed Hanuman. Climb on my back, and I will take you to the presence of Rama this very day. Now you are talking just like a monkey, laughed Sita. How could I go anywhere on your back? Hanuman had forgotten that he was only the size of a cat. He began to grow until he towered above her, with blazing eyes and swishing tail. He proudly declared that if he wished, he could carry away the whole of Lanka. Now I see your full power, agreed Sita, and I do not doubt you could carry me through the air. But I might fall or lose my life traveling so fast and so high in the sky, and it is not right for me willingly to touch any other male than my husband. Let Rama come here and defeat Ravana. Then take me back to Ayodhya himself. That will be most fitting. If you cannot come with me, please give me some token to take to Rama, requested Hanuman. Sita unwrapped a large jewel from her cloth. Give him this, she said. He will recognize it, and ask him if he remembers the time when he decorated my cheek with mineral dye after the rains. Holding the precious jewel tightly, Hanuman prepared to leave. Tell him to come soon. I will not be able to survive here more than a month. Have no fear, lady. Rama will soon be here, he said, and was gone. And so ends day 5, part 2 of Ravana, actually of the Ramayana.